I'm going to share something with you that I've never shared publicly before. It's my retention accelerator framework, and it's super important for you to understand how you can leverage these 3 accelerators to keep your customers longer and make more per customer. I want to share something with you that I have never taught publicly before. I've taught this in private masterminds that I've been invited to speak at. I've taught it to my retained group consulting program and leveraged it in various ways, but I've never shared it on this podcast, and I've definitely never talked about it in an on-stage talk. And it's my retention accelerator framework. And this is coming to mind because more and more people are seeing the value of retention. They understand how important it is to keep their customers longer, especially in the economy that we have right now. Keeping your customers longer increases your customer lifetime value, which ultimately increases your profit margin and can give you more money to invest back in acquiring new customers. So retention is really important, and if you haven't been convinced of that with all of the podcast episodes I've had, then go back and listen some more, because I promise you it doesn't take long after looking at the data in your own business to understand how much more valuable it is to keep an existing customer versus acquiring a new customer, whether that be by retaining them in a recurring revenue program like a membership, whether that be getting them to repurchase products that they have purchased from your online store. Maybe it's ascending them to higher level programs or expansion opportunities that you have with other programs and products. Selling to existing customers, keeping your existing customers is the best way to produce an ROI and increase profit margin in your business. So that's why this retention accelerator framework is so important and why I wanted to share it with you all. So it's pretty simple when you think about it. And if you've learned anything about the way that I teach, I like to teach things in a simple, easy to understand way so that you can actually implement them. My goal isn't to feel smart or for you to think I'm really intelligent with my complicated frameworks or language that I'm using. My goal is for you to really remember and understand the concepts that I teach. It's also why I like to keep these podcast episodes relatively short and focused on one topic so that you retain what you have learned. So let me share the framework with you, and it's my 3 keys to accelerating your retention in any business. But before I do, I just want to give you a little bit of context. These 3 keys are results that you want to generate with your customers and the people that you serve. They are not strategies, they are not tactics. You leverage strategies and tactics to hit these 3 different results or outcomes, okay? So these are the outcomes we're looking for with our retention strategies. Now, most of you may know me as the community strategy person, and you think of me as somebody who only teaches community. But if you have ever worked with me in a one-on-one consulting situation, or you've been a part of my retained group consulting program, you know that is barely scratching the surface of what I teach and how I help businesses. My focus is on retention. It is on creating amazing customer experiences that help you keep your customers longer so you can make more money per customer. Yes, community is an absolute wonderful way to do that, and we do leverage that a lot in how we support our clients and in our teaching. But there are lots of other aspects of retention that we leverage that touch on these 3 points and ultimately increase retention rate. So when you think about these 3, you're immediately going to think about community, which is natural. Community touches on all 3 of them, which is why I love it so much. But there are lots of other ways that you can touch on them as well. And as I share them, you may think you have to do all 3 of these. And so there's one of them in particular that if you don't have an online community, you think, goodness, I'm not going to have a good retention because I can't leverage this 3rd one. These are accelerators. So it's just like a fire. If you can throw one accelerator on the fire, sure, it's going to burn a little brighter, burn a little longer. If you can throw 2 on, even better. 3, that's fantastic. So it's not that you can't impact retention without all 3 of these. It's that when you do all 3 of these, it's going to accelerate it even more. Versus my community cultivated framework, which is my core training around how to create a thriving community, you do absolutely need all 4 of those pillars. They are the foundational pillars that hold up the house that is your community, and without them, your house is going to fall and crumble. It may not fall and crumble right away, but that big bad wolf is coming and he will knock your house down at the end of the day. So this is a little bit different than that framework because these are 3 different accelerators that when used together are really magical, but you can also use them separately. Okay, so the first accelerator in the framework is results. And that's going to be 3 R's because y'all know I like alliteration whenever I can because it makes it more memorable. So the first one is results. How can we help our customers get results? I actually just wrapped up a podcast interview and I was asked a question related to in-person brick and mortar businesses. And one of the things that a lot of people think is that this results conversation is only for info products or information-based businesses online. But that's not true because when you go shopping at a store, the result that you want is to find the thing that you are looking for. I think about when I was speaking at an event in Vegas and I knew exactly what I wanted to wear thanks to some amazing, more fashionable friends of mine. But that meant that I needed a really great pair of black pants, which I did not own. So when I went shopping that day, I came looking for the result of leaving with a fantastic fitting and looking pair of black pants that made me feel like $1 million on stage. That's a result I wanted. So when I came into that store, if I didn't get that result, I was disappointed. If I got that result, I was very happy and I'm way more likely to go back to that store again. Maybe the result is just to feel better in your skin or to improve your health or to make more money in your business or to learn a new skill or hobby or to feel more connected in your community. I don't know what the result is, but almost every business has a result that they are producing for their customers. And that result can be as simple as having a clean floor because my Roborock vacuum actually works, right? The moment it stops working and I don't know what to do and it feels like a faulty product, I no longer got the result. I no longer feel loyalty and trust of this company that I bought that vacuum from. So getting the result means that we're actually delivering on the thing that we promise, which I've talked about this in another episode, but you do not want to be over-promising and over-delivering. You want to get people a result. This becomes really important because it requires us to focus on the product or service, the program that we are delivering before we worry about how we're going to get people in the door. Because if we can't get people a result, nothing else that we do matters because we spent a whole lot of time and effort acquiring customers who don't get a result. And not only do they not come back, but they're also likely to give negative reviews, leave negative feedback, or tell people when they ask, hey, should I join this program? No, you shouldn't because it doesn't actually work. So many programs out there are wonderful programs, but they spend way too much time teaching you how to market your product or your program. They teach you how to sell. They don't teach you how to deliver amazing results for your customers so that, one, you feel in integrity because people are actually getting what they paid for. 2, they build value and trust with you, and so they want to buy from you again and again or buy more from you in the future. And then 3, they tell other people just how awesome your stuff is because they actually made progress. They actually got a result. They actually felt better or made more money or whatever that is. So you really want to focus here on the actual product, the actual program deliverable. And then the second thing you really want to look at is the path to help them get that result. We talk about this a lot in the community cultivated framework, but how are we best supporting them to get the result? So for example, with a robot vacuum cleaner, okay? With a robot vacuum cleaner, I want a really, really great instruction manual that tells me how to set this thing up well, that tells me how to maintain it well. But on top of that, they also give me regular reminders in the app for maintenance of what I need to be doing. Oh, you need to clean the brush. You haven't wiped your filter off in a while. They're giving me the support that I need to get the best result with the product that they've sold me. We should be doing the same things in our programs. And many of you are by providing communities that have support people in there that can answer questions. You're providing transcripts and audios for people. You're providing guides for them. You're bringing in guest experts. You have coaching calls and Q&As. You have FAQs. All of those things are a part of helping get people results. The question we need to be asking ourselves in order to create these supplemental materials is, where's the friction? Where are people getting stuck? And if we can help them overcome that, then we're pouring accelerant on that results fire, right? That's what we want. We're pouring more of that results accelerant on the fire. We want people getting more results. So creating a solid program or product to begin with is the first thing, but then making sure we're supporting people and they have a clear path along the journey to get to that result. And then also getting that result as early as possible. So can we get them, even if it's not the big result, but can we give them a quick win early on? This is especially true for membership communities. If I feel like I have to watch a 3-hour video and do 20 hours a week of work to get a result with your program, I am not going to get the validation that I need and see the progress that I need in order to stick with it. Now, some people have that stick-to-itness, maybe stick with itness. I don't know, something like that. They have that drive to keep going even when they're not getting results. But the majority of people don't. So you want to craft your onboarding, the early aspects of your program to help people get quick wins. May not be the big result, but it might be a small result that they can rest in to know that they can trust you and that they're making progress. So that result accelerant is super important for retention, and if not the most important, because the other two, if people aren't getting results, I mean, maybe they'll stay, but likely they're not going to stay. So the results piece is the most important. Okay, number 2 is recognition. Recognition is so important. Now, recognition is a couple of things here. One, it's seeing me as an individual and not another number in a database. It's seeing me as one and not just a part of 10,000 people in a membership. So very simply, it's recognizing people as individuals and knowing that they are more than just, somebody who's there to learn how to launch an Etsy account or something, right? They are a whole human. They have lots of other interests, and they are an individual with a name. That simple recognition that we can give through things like personalized Bonjoro videos, calling them out in the community, emails checking in on them, are ways that we can recognize them as individuals, which help accelerate that retention. Recognition also comes into play with recognizing their progress. So here's what we know about people. We remember the most recent thing that happened oftentimes. And so we have recency bias, which means that we forget the progress that we make. We forget just how much pain we were in or just where we were when we joined your program or bought your product. So we don't actually see the progress even though we've made it. So it's our job as leaders in our community to help people recognize the progress that they've made. So documenting where they were and where they are now, and shouting them out and calling them out for doing that, for making that progress, for getting that result. And also recognizing them for their contribution to the community as a whole. Some people may not be making as much progress, but they are high value members of your community. Often we take them for granted. We don't give them a personal DM. We don't send them a note in the mail. We don't write them a quick email just saying thank you. That little bit of recognition can go a long way. So there's lots of ways that you can think about recognizing people, just recognizing them as individuals, calling them by name, giving them any personalized outreach that you can, whether that be video, direct message, email, doesn't matter, personalized outreach. Anytime that we can craft our program to actually survey them and find out where they are and then personalize the recommendations, that helps recognize them as an individual. And then when we can help recognize their contribution to the community or the progress that they're making in little or big ways, whether it's a mention in a newsletter, whether it's a thank you in the comment of the post that they commented on and help support another member, there are lots of little ways that we can recognize them. Okay, so we have results, we have recognition. The third retention accelerant is relationships. Relationships are so important. And you hear people say all the time now that people come for the content, stay for the community. Well, that is really the relationships factor that they're talking about. It's that retention accelerant. Relationships are really important because we as humans have a natural desire for them. Maslow's hierarchy of needs puts belonging right up in the middle there. So we've got, I think, physical needs, and then we have safety, and then we have belonging. Belonging is something that we all need to feel. And many of us don't feel it in our homes or in our local communities. So we go online to find it. So when you can give somebody relationships with others, they get that sense of belonging. So relationships are really important because it's in factoring in relationships with you. So you as the business owner, do they feel like they know you? Do you have authenticity? And do you have integrity in a way that allows people to get to know you to where they feel like they have a relationship with you? I always feel like if anybody who listens to my podcast or is in my programs ever just bumps into me on the street, I want them to feel like they know me. They can come in and go, hey, how's homeschooling going? Hey, how's this? How's your blah, blah, blah? How's your pregnancy? Because they know me. That doesn't mean I have to be completely transparent, but that does mean that we're building this relationship. Even if it is a one-way relationship, that is still something that people feel is that type of connection. The same can be true for your team members. I've talked about this a lot. I know a lot of business owners are afraid of allowing team members to be community facing, but I actually am a big fan of it because you are a unique person, as is each of your team member, and not everybody is going to connect with you or feel that relationship with you. And you can't build a relationship with thousands of people, but when you have 3 team members involved in the community, they can build relationships with a lot of these people that are highly engaged. They have the time to do that because that's their job in a way that you don't because you're busy selling, creating content, running a business, running a team, all those other things. So let your team members build relationships with others. I know I have been in programs where I have built a really fantastic relationship with the community manager or another team member, so much so that I would not want to leave the program because I know that my relationship with that person would not be the same, and I value that relationship so much. That's the power of relationships with team members. And then there's the relationships with other members of the community. Really, this one can really be a game changer. We can have relationships formed within our community platform, on our live calls, at our live events, by having accountability groups, by just facilitating people finding each other and posts in our community. There's lots of ways to help people find relationships and find those uncommon commonalities. I have other podcast episodes about that. We will link that in the description so that you can learn specifically how to facilitate those kinds of connections in your community. But those connections and the relationships that they build with each other are really important, not only because they help retain them, but they actually cycle back to recognition and results. When I have a smaller community of people, I'm more likely to get results. I'm more likely to have people around me recognizing the results that I'm getting. So that's the beautiful thing about relationships and why I keep saying community is so powerful, because community helps support in results, it helps support in recognition, and it helps support in relationships, which feeds those other two things. When we have strong relationships with other members of a community, we feel that recognition more. We feel like we're not just a number. We feel seen, and we also are more likely to get results because we have the support and accountability that we get in those types of connected community environments. So I want you to be thinking about these outside of just community. How else can we touch on these elements? How else can we be supporting people to get results? How else can we be recognizing them as individuals and recognizing the progress that they're making and the contribution they're making to our business? And how can we help them build relationships with us, with our team, and with each other? I promise you, I think about these 3 retention accelerants of this retention accelerator framework all of the time when I'm helping clients craft member journey maps. Member journey maps are the best way for you to think about this because you're always asking the question of how do I leverage any of these 3 accelerants in this particular aspect of the journey, in onboarding, in member activation or reactivation or failed payments, etc. How can I leverage them? And you can't always leverage all 3. You can't always create all 3, but you can be thinking about it. And when you do, it's going to change your strategy around retention because you understand the driving factors behind the stick rate. So why are people staying? It's got to be because you're touching on one of these three things. You're hitting on results for them, you're hitting on relationships for them, or you're hitting on recognition for them. And when we can do all three, that's when we increase our retention rate the most. All right, so I hope this gives you a better understanding of how to think about retention and why I talk so much about community, because community can really hit on all three of these accelerants really well, but it's not the only way to do it, which is why inside of my programs and with my consulting, we go outside of just the community. We talk about emails, we talk about program structure, we talk about your website, your private members area, what does that look like, the whole journey, what happens after onboarding, all of that is incorporated. It's not just community, because retention is about a lot more than just community. And there's a lot of ways to hit on these accelerants outside of just community, but community is a fantastic way to do it. Okay, so if you are somebody who's like, I'm like bought in, I want more of this, like how do I use these accelerants in my business? I have a recurring revenue business, I want support in, please reach out. We have links inside of the description, but we have a group program that is focused on helping people get results with retention. And there's amazing business owners and retention and community leaders in there working together alongside me to help create amazing member journey maps and increase their retention rate in their businesses, leveraging these three accelerants. And then we also have one-on-one consulting opportunities. There's few of those. They're hard to get. You're probably going to be on a wait list, but it's worth the wait, I promise you. So if this is resonating with you at all, don't hesitate, reach out, go to shanalyn.com. You can see how you can work with me there. But at the end of the day, whether you work with me or whether you just do this on your own, I want you to write this framework down for those of you that are listening to this. It is a triangle. So that's how I think about it. It's a triangle. We have results at the top and then recognition and relationships at the bottom. This is our retention accelerator framework. I want you to have that so that you can be thinking about it all the time whenever you're crafting your anything after the sale, any communication after the sale, any program deliverables after the sale. You should always be asking about how are we getting these three outcomes with this particular training or email or onboarding series. All right, I hope that is helpful. I hope it gets you to be thinking in an expanded way about retention. And I really hope that it helps you increase your retention, keep your customers longer so that you can increase your customer lifetime value.